Hello and welcome to Spotlight Indie. I'm your host, Frasier Armitage, part-time robot, full-time nerd, author of New Yesterday, Time's Ellipse, and A Stitch Between Worlds. And joining me is the most wonderful co-host imaginable. It is Holly, H.L. Tinsley. Holly, how goes it?
I'm very good, Frasier. Thank you very much. That is a compliment which I cannot possibly hope to live up to. And I think you just need to get more co-hosts so that you can trial them all and then compare them. This needs to be a very scientific study.
Let's do it. If anybody wants to come and co-host, let us know in the comments. You can be Holly. Anyone wants to host, let me know in the comments. It's all good. No, it's always a pleasure to have you around, Holly, and to be doing this with you. It's amazing. So there can never be another Tinsley.
I mean, that I won't argue with.
Yes. And joining me and Holly is the incredible author and podcaster Livia J Elliot. Livia, hi. How are you doing?
Hi, all good, and you? Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Yeah, I'm doing awesome, thank you. I'm so much better this week than I was last week because I'm like so much more close to your Kickstarter, and it's like I'm feeling like the closer it gets, the better I'm getting. So yeah, thank you for that, Livia. Yeah, you are here to roll for insight. Holly, can you please tell us the rules of the game?
I certainly can. So, Roll for Insight is our interview game based on the roll of a d20 dice. We have a list of 20 questions. We will all take it in turns to roll our dice. Whatever number we roll, we will ask the corresponding question on our list. The questions range from the deep and insightful to the slightly ridiculous. So, we will see what happens when we roll for insight.
Amazing. Also, I promised Holly that I would say a lot less because that's my word whisper. And I feel like I've said it about 14 times since we started recording this section. So apologies, Holly. And for everybody else, you get a point. Play it. This could be like a game. Like every time I do an you take a drink. And that's it. That would be a great game, right?
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, let's go rolling. Livia, would you like to roll?
Yeah, let's see. 14.
14, that's a classic. Who would win in a fight between your main character and the main character of the last indie book that you read?
Oh my. So the last indie book that I read was Three Immortals by Bert Oliver Boomer. And it had some aliens that were basically 500,000 years old. So probably that. because my character, at least in this book, in Dance With Me, which is one of the Kickstarter, is a ballerina made of ceramic. So yeah, she's at a disadvantage.
I feel like if it was a dance-off, she'd win.
Yeah.
But any other antagonistic thing together,
Now, if I bring my characters from this book, that's another different story.
So what would your characters from that book make from your Genesis of Change? What would your characters from that make of Lyra from Dance With Me?
A subject of study, probably. So that this one is basically, you have eldritch beings that they exist, they are not alive, so it's basically somewhat immortal, and they are very powerful. It's an alchemy, so the magic system is an alchemy based on philosophy, and in the idea that if you know something, you can wield it, which comes from existentialism. And one of the elements in particular, it stems from my need to understand the human mind, and one of the elements in there is everything about thoughts, emotions, identity, and attitude. And so they can create that, they can embed thoughts in people, they can extract them, they can do a lot of things. And then you have the classical one who can control fire, water, things like that are half-alive elements. So there is a mix of things they can do, and they are generally very powerful. So, and in that book in particular, they are hunting people just to study them. So it's a far more grim, dark take. And Lyra has, let's just say, like some of the characteristics that they will likely go and study. So yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
remember there was a joke in Twitter that was I think it was something like badly pitch your book, and I pitched that one as 20,000-year-old alchemist confuses humans with lab rats. It's a very
I love
different
it.
tone.
Yeah,
I will say that it has the allegory, it has the philosophy. It's a very different tone. So yeah.
that rocks. And what about you, Holly? If like your MC it was to face up against the MC from the last indie book you read, how would that go down?
Oh, hard to tell because I've just started a new indie book, so I'm only about 5 pages in at the moment. So I've started reading C.T. Phipps' The Rules of Supervillainy, which so far absolutely brilliant. I'm only 5 pages in, but I am really enjoying the opening scene. But I feel like because this is a book based on supervillains, that it would be a pretty even match between, if you take John Vanguard from the Vanguard Chronicles, put him against a supervillain, I couldn't say who would come out on top. And also, to be fair, he's a little bit villainous himself. He's not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy either. So it would be a very fairly even match, I think.
That's cool. The last indie book I read was Dance with Me. So, but here's the thing, Livia. My main character from New Yesterday is a little bit of a wuss, and I think that if he was presented with a ballerina who was alive, I think that he would probably get so freaked out he'd run in the opposite direction. So I would have to say Lyra would win hands down against Ash. 100%. It might be the only character that Lyra comes out on top with, but it's there.
Probably.
100%. Lyra for the win. Holly, it's your role.
Okay. That is a number 4.
Number 4. What have you learned about yourself as an author in the last year? Start with Holly and we'll move through to Livia.
Oh no, don't start with me. What have I learned about myself as an author in the last year? So much that it's really hard to pin down one particular thing. I think that probably the fact that I needed to sort of go back to the beginning a little bit over the last 12 months and work out some of the gaps that I had in not just my writing, but also my understanding of how indie books work, how the publishing community works. Because when you first come into the indie community, you first publish your book, everything moves very quickly. So there is a lot of stuff that you miss, and there's a lot of advice that is conflicting or contradictory, and sometimes it's difficult to know what to follow. So over the last year, I have gone back to basics on a lot of things. So I've been working with a writing coach that has been really helpful for me to learn a little bit more about my technique. So I think, probably just that stepping back and going back to the beginning to learn the things that you didn't get the first time round is my biggest lesson for this year, I think.
That's awesome. Go Holly, I love it.
Oh, thanks, Frasier.
Olivia, what about you?
So in terms of the admin side, as Holly mentioned, like running a Kickstarter is difficult. Like there is so much invisible work behind it, especially because I'm kind of like a one-woman army. I did everything myself, even the design on the Kickstarter. And that took an insane amount of time. So for the Kickstarter to pre-launch now in April and launch on May 6th, I actually started on September. And that was after I actually completed the novelization. So I did the novelization first, and then I started doing all the admin stuff. And yeah, I think that something that I can say in there is start with time, get organized. And yeah, because it takes so much more than you will expect. And in terms of writing, last year I had like a very productive year. I released, I think, 5 different books between the app and outside of it. Something that I can tell you is that I'm incredibly analytical as a writer. Like if something, I'm a very thorough plotter. Like I will start with an overarching plot and then do like an onion, start peeling layers and doing it more specific. And something that I learned is that if something is not working, stepping down and trying to go into my analytical mode of why isn't this working, sometimes it works the best. So I will just analyze myself and analyze the writing or the style or the themes or whatever, what I'm not getting it there. And then, yeah, may not work for everybody, but it does work for me.
That's great. I think the biggest thing that I've learned as an author over the past year is what ice cream works best for different stages of my work in progress. Because there's some ice cream that you need to have, like the flavor is like a draft flavor, and there's some ice creams that are like for editing, and some for like when you send something out to a beta reader and you just need to wallow. So those are the I've learned my ice creams. I've learned that over this last year. And also to trust my instincts and to not get so hung up with all of the perfectionism. So,
Definitely.
Frasier, can I just ask a very important question? Absolutely. At any given time, exactly how much ice cream is there in your freezer?
I'm freely going to admit this. I ate half a Haagen-Dazs salted caramel pot tub thing tonight in preparation for this interview. So I can say there is about half a tub of ice cream less than there was at the start of the day. And as you all know, all you fans on Spotlight Indie who've been with us since the beginning, food and writing goes together like food and writing. It's the best. Let's roll. Oh, incidentally, just random question, Livia. What's your go-to ice cream flavor?
In here in Australia, I really like the macadamia. Yeah, which is a local one. Yeah. It's pretty nice. Otherwise, salted caramel.
Good choices.
That's great. We asked the big questions here.
We do.
Yeah, the important ones.
I rolled 19. So how do you choose place, city, country names in your works? Livia, I'm going to go over to you first because I get to be the host. So, so how do you choose all of the place names?
I have done the place names in particular. I think I have done different things. So there are some of them that they actually don't have any places. There are this cozy series that I only have on the app. Those basically, I just try to find words that will flow nicely. I was more concerned with the sounds only, so I will start just like babbling, like and doing weird sounds until I found something that I liked. Dance With Me, it doesn't actually say any name. It just mentions one name in particular. And the funny thing is that it's how I heard the name, a different name that was pronounced in a different language. That's how my Spanish brain actually interpreted it. And I just wrote it literally. And for Genesis, for this one, I actually went a bit nuts on that one. You know that in fantasy, names generally have the same feeling, especially when you are going for epic or things like that. And I was very pissed off that any name in Spanish would sound weird to me. And when I mentioned that to my partner told me it's like because it's too common, that I was too used to that type of sounds that it lost the fantasy quality. So I started brainstorming names that will be spelled in Spanish or with a Spanish sound that will actually sound, I don't know, fantasy-ish to me. And that one ended up with a mix of medieval Spanish names, Basque names, and Latin names. So it's just a mix. And we ended up having like Siderurgia Golf, or there is one on the second book on that one. It's called Furia Gorge and things like that. So simply because I wanted something different for that one, yeah.
That rocks. I love it. I love it. What about you, Holly? What's your method?
So I don't know if I've ever actually said this anywhere before, but my method for place names is to use people names. So either I will use a literal person's name, but slightly change the pronunciation of it. So, for example, in Vanguard Chronicles, the country that they're in is called Susan, which is obviously Susan. And I also will use names of things like painters or artists, sculptors, singers, quite a lot. So yeah, those are kind of my two go-to methods for choosing them.
Is the place affected by the person? Like, do you know a Susan, and is that Susan actually what Susan is like?
It's actually a funny story because this whole thing started with a comment that Mark Lawrence made on a Facebook post where people were talking about the difficulties of choosing names, particularly in fantasy, where there are kind of expected ways of speaking or turns of phrase. And Mark put a comment up saying, just call the city Colin. And I thought that is a brilliant idea. I'm going to have a city in one of my books called Colin, which hasn't happened yet, but will. And after that, I just started using people's names as place names. So yeah, it's all Mark Lawrence's fault.
There's going to be like the town of Frasier, which is just absolute squalor, just where the worst people go. It's like I'm looking out for it now, Holly. For me, I'm going to talk about New Yesterday because New Yesterday is a city as well as the title of the book, and that's this place where events in the present can change the past. So you can literally have a new yesterday by going there. So it was really cool getting feedback from readers when they said that it reminded them a lot of New York. And I was like, well, that's really cool because it has the same initials. It's NY. And because of this connection, I really lent into it. So I'd been to New York. I went there a few years back. So I took all of the places that I remembered and I gave them just a little twist. So like Macy's became Gracie's, Burger King became the Royal Burger Company, all of this kind of stuff. So I basically just played with what I could remember of the city in order to give names to things that otherwise were just descriptions of things. So yeah, I was basically just having fun. But I think that's the main thing, right? When you name something, it's got to be fun. So it's either you're playing around with words, you're playing around with Spanish, or you're playing around with people. That's the just make it fun.
Yeah.
We're entering the speed round, Livia.
Okay.
So you need to roll and you need to answer like with speed. So
No pressure.
no pressure. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's just we will be docking points if it takes too long. But no, it's all good. Well, there's no points in this game. Livia, give us a roll of the dice.
Let's see. Number 3.
Ooh. Have you ever shed a tear over one of your characters or chapters?
A lot of times, yeah. I think chapter 4 in Dance With Me made me cry quite a bit. And in the new one, in Our Own Rhythm, chapter 13 actually made me cry a lot as well.
Yeah, I sense that a lot of people who read Dance With Me will join you in shedding tears. So yeah. Holly, what about you?
Have I ever cried over a character? I have. I will also say as well, I don't cry very easily. I'm not one of these people that tears up over books in particular. Livia's is the closest I have been, probably since I was about 13. No, I loved it. I was all the way here for it. It was really emotional. So yeah, definitely that was a close call. But for my own writing, yeah, there's one particular scene I remember writing, and it's in a book that hasn't been published yet, and I don't even know if it will be published. And it was a side character who I'd grown really attached to. And I remember I wrote this scene where something terrible happens to this character, and I had to walk away. So I went and had a shower, and I was crying in the shower. And my husband was like knocking on the door, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was just crying, just going, "This terrible thing has just happened." He's like, "You know, this is a person that you're writing, don't you?"
I love it. I didn't know when I was ready to write a book or to release a book that I'd written until I'd cried over something that I'd written, and then I was like, "Oh, this is the one. This is the one that I'm actually now ready to." My writing has got good enough, and my world building and character building, and all the skills and the craft that I've learned has been good enough that I can now release this story. Up until then, it was just learning how to do that, how to get to that point. I think as a writer. So yeah, I think if you are crying over your stories, they're probably good enough to make someone else feel the same. So
I don't know. Sometimes I cry about how bad mine are. I like write a chapter and then I just have a little cry because it's so terrible.
The reason you're crying is important. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was to go back and read the first book I ever read, or ever wrote, I would be crying as well. Very different reason though. Holly, roll.
Okay. Number 12.
Number 12, my favorite number. What's one assumption about indie creativity you'd like to banish forever? Let's come to Livia with this one, because I think we've talked about this.
That's not proper writing.
Yeah, it's
I
not
hate that.
writing. Yes.
It's
Why do you want it gone?
Yeah, mostly because I think it's gatekeeping at the best. And second, because traditional, they generally publish more of the same. I have found that indie books are generally more novel, more unique, different voices and things that you are not going to find on the market. So it's basically, and also the other day, I think I saw a stat, it's like 90% of the books are self-published. Like you have more chances of finding something that you love in indie publishing than in traditional.
I love it. I love it. What was your answer for this, Holly? Because it's a few episodes back that we talked about this, wasn't it? Last time.
I mean, obviously, I did get quite opinionated about this last time. So I'm not going to retread the same old ground because people can go and see that video if they want to know what my initial answer was. But what I'm going to add today is it really annoys me when people assume that all indie book covers are bad. Because I think, as we have seen this evening with the Dance With Me cover, that there are some incredible examples of artwork out there. And I have seen so many more amazing indie covers than I have bad ones. There are bad ones out there. Let's not pretend there aren't. But by and large, usually the covers are of a really good quality, and they're getting better, I think. So I would banish that assumption forever.
I'm going to move on to my role because it's a speed round, and I only just remembered. It's number 17. What's one musical instrument you wish you could play? Livia.
So I actually play two instruments, but one that I would like to learn is violin.
That's a popular one, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of Lyra dancing to your violin music.
I need to write. I have talked about one more with musicians. I actually wrote one whole story with a music-based magic system, but I haven't published that one yet.
Oh, that sounds so cool. So, like, does it get more powerful, like, the louder it gets, or the faster it gets, or the more dynamic it gets, or...?
No, it was very complex based on the modes and the type of sounds and what they were aiming for, and it would change the type of magic. So it was pretty complex. I generally like more hard magic systems if I go for them. Yeah.
Is Dorian a reference to a certain type of mode of music? The name Dorian?
No, yeah, it's one of the styles of music, and it's also an architectural style.
Oh,
which is why I picked him.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, final round here, Livia. We are gonna all roll all together.
I think you skipped Holly.
I did skip Holly, yeah, because I know what Holly did.
My answer.
Yeah, go on, Holly. Give us your instrument.
Do you know what? This changes on a weekly basis. I think last time I said that I wanted to play the name, I forgot the name of it again, even though I Googled it last time, the cylinders that you direct electricity through, which I will remember the name of about 10 minutes after we finish this recording. But I think today I would go for the harmonica, because at the moment I'm listening to a lot of kind of country and blues style music. So I'm feeling the harmonica vibes at the minute.
That's great. I wish I could sing. Let's all roll, and then once we roll, Livia, you can choose the number. Like, it could be your number, it could be Holly's number, it could be mine. Let everybody know what you rolled. Holly, what was yours?
Number 10.
Number 10. I got number 11.
15.
15. Your choice is yours, Livia. Is it 10?
Let's
Is
go
it
with 11.
15? 11? What's your favorite opening line in a book? It can be an indie book, it can be a traditionally published book, but what's your favorite opening line?
It was a pleasure to burn. Fahrenheit 451.
Oh,
That is great.
yeah.
Love it. It's one of my
Straight away.
favorite books ever. So yeah, it's also my favorite opening on a book because I think it's so powerful. So yeah, that was easy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We chatted a little bit about this last time, and then I came across a book with a really, really good opening because I read Metamorphosis by Kafka, and the opening to that is absolutely amazing. Hang on, let me see if I can get it. Opening line. So, yeah, as Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. That's just a great line for a story,
That
right?
is good.
Yeah.
That is really good.
I was like, yeah, I love it. I love it. Holly, is yours still the same as last time, or have you got more openings you want to share?
No, mine is still the same. Mine has been the same probably since I can't remember what year it came out, but since the book came out. So it is still Perfume by Patrick Suskind, and I doubt that will ever change. But what I love about this question is that people instantly have that first line that they always remember. And it just goes to show if you can get a really strong opening to your book, people will remember it 20 years later. You know, they might not remember character names, they might not remember place names, but they will remember that opening line.
Yeah. I dreamt of Mandalay again last night, or something like that.
Yeah.
Put your favourite opening lines underneath so that we can get a good list of them, and it would be great to see which is your favourite as well, all you dear listeners who are also here with us. So that concludes our game of Roll for Insight. Thank you for letting the dice decide your destiny and letting us just get to know you better. So you're going to join us next week again, where we'll be proving that there's no such thing as a stupid question. But in the meantime, where can people find you, Livia?
Yeah, they can find me anywhere as liviajelliot.com. So that's Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. I'm also Livia J Elliot on Discord, and on my website, liviajelliot.com, you can sign up for my newsletter and get a free copy of The Genesis of Change, the other book that I have, the Grimmer one. And my podcast is Books Undone. It's everywhere where podcasts are, including YouTube. And the Kickstarter, you can search for Dance With Me on Kickstarter and it should be there.
Amazing. So if you want to see what aliens would do if they thought humans were lab rats, you know what you can do. You can go get that.
Yep.
That's amazing. Holly, where can everybody find you and Spotlight Indie?
You can find me on my socials, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky as at Holly Tinsley. You can find Spotlight Indie on all of the same platforms. Also at our website, www.spotlightindie.co.uk, where we do have all the details of Livia's Kickstarter for Dance With Me. Please go and have a look at that and back it. And we will also put all the details in the description below as well.
Amazing. And I'm at Frasier Armitage and FrasierArmitage.com or Spotlight Indie. In fact, just comment below this video if you want to get in touch with me and say, hey, Frasier, why haven't you changed your hair like Holly? Hers looks amazing. You're letting the side down. Just type it below. That'd be great. And thank you for joining us, Livia, and we will see you next week on Spotlight Indie.
Yeah, looking forward to it.